Hi everyone, welcome to our review session. So I made another block it style review session. There is around 80 questions. So all you got to do is log on the website play.blockit.com and add in the game ID. And when everyone joins, we will begin. And if you have any questions throughout the game, you're welcome to type it in the chat or just ask it. We'll begin. What is the immediate function of the heart? To pump blood. What is the ultimate purpose of the heart? Yep, to deliver oxygen to tissues. Which structure helps prevent black flow of blood? The valves. Which force also helps maintain one-way blood flow? Yeah, pressure gradient. Pulmonary circulation carries blood where? Think about what pulmonary means, and that can help. To the lungs. The systemic circulation carries blood where? Yep, to our body. What is the function of the pericardium? Protection and lubrication. Oh, you guys got 100% so far. Which layer is the outermost pericardium? The fibrous pericardium. Which layer directly touches the heart? The visceral layer. Visceral means organ, so whenever you see visceral, it's typically the one closest to the organ. Where is the pericardial cavity located? Between layers. In which thoracic region is the heart located? The thoracic cavity. Which vessel carries blood away from the heart? The arteries do. Which vessel carries blood towards the heart? Veins. What is the main function of white blood cells? Fight infection. Chemotaxis refers to what? Movement towards chemicals. Diapedesis refers to what? The movement of white blood cells through vessels. So when you have like an infection in your skin, um, the white blood cells go to your blood vessels, travels through it, and then enter wherever the site of infection is. Which white blood cell is most abundant? Neutrophils. Never let monkeys eat bananas is the acronym to remember. So neutrophils is never from the greatest to least abundant in your body. Which white blood cells is involved in allergic reaction? Basophils. Are platelets true cells? No, they are cell fragments. What is the function of platelets? Clotting. Platelets are also called what? Thrombocytes. Platelets originate from where? Megakaryocytes. Megakaryocytes, they break themselves to make platelets. What is required to form a blood clot? Fibrin and platelets. I always think of fibrin of like a fishnet looking thing, and the platelets fill in the gaps. What is a reflex? An automatic response. Something you don't really have control doing. A reflex arc includes what? Yep, a receptor and an effector. Are all reflexes monosynaptic? No. Some have multiple synapses. Do reflexes involve the brain? Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Ipsilateral means what? Same side. Contralateral means what? Opposite side, yeah. Decussate means the medulla oblongata. And also, like when you're left-handed, your right side of the brain is stronger. If you're right-handed, your left side of the brain is stronger because it decussates. Where are somatic motor neuron cell bodies located? In the ventral horn. Where are sensory neuron cell bodies located? In the dorsal root ganglia. Where does integration of reflexes occur? In the spinal cord. What is the function of spinal nerves? You have mixed sensory and motor functions. Which structure connects left and right spinal cord? Gray, call me sure. Which brain vesicle becomes the cerebrum? Cerebrum. So during infant development, the telencephalon becomes the cerebrum. Which brain region develops from the mesencephalon? The midbrain. What is the correct order of meninges? The dura, the arachnoid, and the pia. I think that one I need to change from the outer to inner. What is the function of meninges? Meninges. Why do we have these layers? Yep, for protection and support. What are dural sinuses used for? To drain blood. What fills the brain ventricles? Cerebral spinal fluid. What is not the function of cerebrospinal fluid? Movement. There's food in it for the brain as well as it helps cushions and protects it. Which cells produce cerebrospinal fluid? Epidermal cells. All three of other cells are nerve cells. Which cells help form the blood-brain barrier? The astrocytes. What is lymph not composed of? And lymph is the fluid in your lymphatic system. Not composed of bones. That'd be weird if it was. Kind of painful. Where does lymph originate from? The interstitial fluid. Where does lymph return? Venous circulation. So through the veins. What is edema? Fluid buildup. So there's no swelling because there's no infection. It's just the pooling of all the fluid. It could look like it looks like swelling, but it's not like inflamed or anything. So it's not swelling. What prevents edema? Lymphatic drainage. What is the largest lymphatic vessel? The thoracic duct. What cells are part of nonspecific immunity? They don't specialize. Macrophages and neutrophils. They just eat whatever is foreign in the body. Which cells are part of specific immunity? So this one, they like notice a specific foreign invader and then they mount an immune response. T cells and B cells. It's pretty cool. Our immunological memory is developed when T cells and B cells find an invader and learn how to recognize it for the second time and then the third. What do B cells do? Destroy pathogens. What do T cells do? Kill infected cells. What do NK cells do? Kill abnormal cells. Helper T cells recognize what? Specific antigens. That's like for the specific immunity, they find things that they recognize. So like every single helper T cells have their own specific target. Think of like a specialized, like special unit, you know? Instead of just going for all of the criminals, you're looking for specific ones. And they activate B cells, which I imagine is like little soldiers to go attack the foreign objects. What type of receptors is on T cells? Specific ones. What is a pathogen? A disease-causing organism. It could be a lot of things. What is an antigen? It's a foreign protein. Rh factor has to do with pregnancy and blood types. Some people have a plus on their blood type, and that's because they have the Rh factor. And it's relevant in like pregnant women's. So like if they have a child that has Rh factor, but they don't, their body would attack their child. What is an antibody? It's a protein that binds to antigen. Which vessel type has the highest pressure? Like if you accidentally nicked this vessel, it will like all the blood would gush out really quick relative to the other one. This is also the arteries are bringing blood to the rest of the body, so it has to be highly pressurized so it could get there. Which vessel type has valves? Veins have valves because they need a lot of support to get the blood back to the heart and they don't want backflow. Where does gas exchange occurs? In the capillaries. What is the function of rods? And these are the rods in your eyes. Now we're talking about special senses. Low light vision. What is the function of cones? Color and detail vision. Which cell forms the optic nerve? The ganglion cells. What causes the blind spot? So cool, the optic disc. Because it's the only part that doesn't have any rods or cones. What is special about the fovea centralis? High acuity. What is accommodation? The lens changing to focus. Which fluid maintains eye pressure? The aqueous humor. Which cranial nerve carries smell? The olfactory nerve. Do olfactory signals pass through the thalamus? No, it does not. What do taste receptors detect? Chemicals. It's pretty cool, like the bitter chemicals. It's the only one that isn't taste, isn't a chemical is spicy. It's just pain and then like inflammation. What type of receptors detect light? Photoreceptors. Okay, three more questions. What do maculae detect? Linear acceleration. What do ampullae detect? Rotation. Okay, last question. What type of cells detect sound and balance? Hair cells. Okay, that concludes our review session. Please make sure to have your email and your first and last name in the chat so I could take attendance. And I'll be here if anyone has any questions. But otherwise, good luck on your midterm.